He's a very fun-loving guy and he's very opinionated. So if you want to argue with someone, please pick him. And now, welcome, Philipp Schuch.
Hey, everybody! Longest introduction ever. Thank you, Niklas. Yeah, welcome to Shopware Community Day 2018. It's a great pleasure for me to have the honor to give you an introduction and a sneak peek at the new administration. And of course, before we talk about the technical stuff, I want to give you also some eye candy and talk a little bit about the usability concept we are planning for the new administration. So we are not only rewriting the whole code, but also reworking the whole concept behind the new administration. So you got already some screenshots in the keynote, but here are some more screenshots. So the first thing you might notice is that we get away from emulating a desktop view inside the browser. That's one of the most important changes you might notice. So we want the user to focus more on what they're doing. We have a lot of more space for the modules, to use the space for their specific tasks. And we want the window management by itself done by the original operating system, because the browser already does multi-window and also multi-monitor management very well. And in the new administration, we have local routing. So in every view of the administration, you can route directly by URL, and you can open the administration on multiple windows or multiple monitors, and can go directly to where you stopped working when you come back next time. And the other thing you might notice is that the navigation also is a little bit slim than the navigation in Shopware 5. So in 5 we had that top bar navigation with all the drop-downs and a drop-down and a drop-down and a drop-down and a drop-down. And so we're getting away from that. We have the sidebar on the left where the most important stuff is going on. But you can also minimize it because it's not so much important for us now, because there are many other ways you can get where you want and do your work because, for example, of the local routing. And we did also a lot of research and asked our customers how they are using the administration now in Shopware 5. And everybody thought that the window management in the current administration is something very special, but it's not all about the windows itself, opening 5 windows or stuff, but to do very specific tasks in the administration. And that is what we want to achieve with just special UIs, customized especially for specific tasks you want to do in the administration. And for example, we have that sidebar which can show additional information and give you deep links into another module or stuff. And so we have special UIs for specific cases to get around this window management. If you look at the detail page, it's also much more comfortable, more space you can use, more structured data, all forms are structured, logical. And with the top bar action, you have just one single point of truth where action takes place. If you want to save a product, for example, the customer always knows what is happening, when is he saving data in the new administration. And also, as I already mentioned, that the navigation gets a little bit more to the side. We have a very powerful search. So right now in Shopware 5, you can just search for products. But in the future, we think that the search will be the main entry point to the administration. So you can search for modules, for specific actions and tasks you want to do in the administration, and search for other entities. And the search will also show you what you're using the most often. And so the search is a very powerful tool in the future to get just where you want and do the stuff you want to do. So the most things. no desktop emulation. We want the desktop back to where the real desktop takes place. More focus on the real tasks you're doing in the different modules. We have the slim navigation, which gets to the side and just does the stuff that you really want to. But then we have a very powerful search who can do a lot of stuff in the future and also give you, as a plugin developer, the chance to add your own actions and stuff. I can tell you more about that. And we will have special UIs like batch editing or stuff like that, which focus really on specific tasks you want to achieve in the administration. So let's talk about the technology stack we want to use in the administration. So we decided to be not so much bound to a framework anymore. So we decided to write a very slim core by our own, based on newest technologies like ECMAScript 6. So we're writing a new core of vanilla JavaScript code, including also Webpack for building and packaging and stuff and compiling. And on top of that, we have a very thin service layer with some factories providing the basic information, also some external libraries like Lodash for helper functions and stuff. And we have an HTTP client who can do the requests later. We're using Axios as a library for that. It's a very common library and very common in the community right now. And on top of that thin service layer, we have different things. We have that local routing stuff. So the routing is a very main part and entry point for you as a developer who take action in the administration. We have a view layer, and to be confirmed with the Symfony framework, we have Twig as a template engine. But before you hesitate right now, it's just about the blocks, because we still need this multiple level inheritance layer for you guys to make your changes in the administration and keep to the points where you want to make your changes. So we are not using Twig at all, but we're using the placeholder blocks for doing template inheritance. And then we have state management. So no event bars anymore, no event-driven actions. We are fully relying on data-driven templating. And therefore, we have a central state management. And we're also coming up with API services in the core, which are already available by the core. And on top of the very thin core we're providing, there comes the application layer. And as the color might as you might notice at the color, we're using Vue.js as a rendering framework for our application. So for the routing, we're also using Vue Router. And for the view layer, there will be a very good component system based on Vue.js. And also for the state, we're using the corresponding library Vuex for the state management in the application. And for all the services the core provides, we're using the native dependency injection by Vue.js, so all services from the core are available in your Vue.js components. And we're also using a lot of mixin, which makes the life of your developers very easy. And then there are some initializers who can boot up the application, and that is also your entry point where you can also add your own custom services to the core system, so you can have different ways to extend also the core functionality of the administration. So, to sum it up, we have a complete API-driven backend application, so the new administration will be developed completely against the new API. We have local routing, that is the main entry point for you. And we have stateful rendering, so every rendering we do is locally done and based on this data state. We have a big component system which makes life for you very easy to just have kind of components and can just build up your module very quick and easily. And we have HTML templates, so no special template language needed here. You can just rely on your daily usage of HTML. That's a really nice advantage. Some of you might already know the Vue.js framework, but I want to give you just a short little introduction because maybe one of you don't know the framework. So what is Vue.js? Vue.js is a very fast rendering framework. It is just a rendering framework, but that does it very well. And it has reactive data binding, so it has a two-way binding, can update views corresponding to data. and also brings this component structure, which we really, really like. And this was also an advantage why we use Vue.js. And it has templates based on HTML and developing to the standards of web components. And that was also a reason why we decided to use Vue.js, because we wanted to keep the learning curve for you very, very low. And HTML, I think, is a technology we all use for years, and everybody understands that. Vue.js comes with very good documentation, so you can dive directly in the official Vue.js documentation and learn all the stuff, and you will get along the new administration very, very quickly. It has a low learning curve, for example, and it brings also very nice tooling for you as a developer for debugging and stuff, and I will introduce that to you. It's very nice. So how does a Vue.js component look like? So you have a little bit of JavaScript code. You can define different stuff. So you defining your own component, can define own properties, and providing your HTML template containing just the normal HTML, and also some special rendering functions Vue.js offers to do advanced templating. And at the end, you have a custom HTML tag, which you can use in any other template to render your component there, and passing data with properties and stuff. And there are a lot of templating features. I don't want to go into detail on every functionality. You can always rely on the official Vue.js documentation. For example, you have the list rendering, event handlers, and class and style bindings, and also form input bindings for that reactive data binding, which you can use. Just refer to the official Vue.js documentation. So, and also on the component side, in your JavaScript logic, you have many possibilities. You can add just your custom methods, which you use for event listeners and stuff. And you can add your own data binding. And one very nice thing are the computed properties, where you can combine data and make it available in your template. And these computed values will also update automatically when the data binding changes, and you can use it directly in your template. That's very nice. To make life for you very easy and simple and keep the learning curve very low, we decided to give you a central developer API which you can use. So we have the core as the heart of the new administration. We will expose it as a one single object which you can use, but it is also structured into logical namespaces, for example, module or component, where all the logic for these parts are separated, and every file you will open have this code in it, and you will always read the same code and always do stuff only just one way and not 1,000 ways how you can achieve some things. And then there will be the component system. So how does it all work with Vue.js and Twig, and how do I do templating, and how can you as a plugin developer change templates and components? So we have the normal components. As you might notice, we will not use the single file components of Vue.js, if you heard about it. So we are just splitting the code in its concerns. So we have a JavaScript file containing the logic of the component. We have the HTML template containing the Twig blocks as a normal template for the component. And of course, there will be styling for the component. In our core administration, we will use less, as we're also using it for the front end. But for you as a developer, you can use any CSS preprocessor you want. We will provide pre-configured Webpack configuration for several and famous CSS precompilers. So, and the components are just registered to the core with the exposed object. And then also you, as a developer, have the possibility to extend and override these components, either the template and also the business logic of the JavaScript component. And after that, it gets passed to the application, and the application will build a complete functional Vue.js component from it. And at the end, it's just a normal Vue.js component, and you won't notice any change. So how does it look in comparison to the normal code? So on the left side, you have the code for a normal component maybe, and on the right you see what is changing when you're using it the Shopware style. So it's not changing dramatically. You have just the global exposed opware, for example, Shopware component register to create a new component. And the template is also just changing by adding the twig blocks, which are the main entry points to change the template of the component. Why are we doing this? We want that multi-level inheritance so that you as a plugin developer can change the component. So you have the possibility to override components. You can pass additional business logic for the component, adding your own methods and stuff, but also overriding the template of the component and using just the twig blocks as you know them, and overwriting parts of the template by overwriting the twig blocks. And the only thing that we add in addition for you is this property $super, which is providing also the super class which you are overriding, so you can always access the original methods of the original component to recreate the logic if you want to. And you have also the possibility to extend from existing components, creating your very own custom components, which are based on original components, maybe from our library or from other plugins, and just create your own component extending from an existing one. We also have interface translations, so we have, again, a placeholder system, like the snippets you already know, and therefore there are also a snippet function. It's the translation function $T or $TC, and you just pass the placeholder name into the function in the template to just render the translation. And you can also use it programmatically in the logic of your component. And so, yeah, you have all possibilities you might want to use to translate your application or your module for the administration. For the component system, there will be complete documentation. So there will be a nice library of components you can use right out of the box from Shopware. Right now, we're using Storybook to document all the components we have. We are not so satisfied with it. If you have any good other ideas how we can, or about a documentation system, I would like your discussions the whole day. So now you have components, and how do you create new administration modules? There's again the exposed object with the entity with the namespace module, and you can just register your new model. It's very, very easy. It just comes right out of the box, and just define your special information. And then you have different access points to your module. For example, the most important things, as I already mentioned, are the roots. So you can define new roots and define components which are rendered when these roots are accessed. And then you have also the possibility to add, for sure, new navigation entries in the main navigation. You can also add shortcuts to actions in your administration module. And you also have the possibility to define search commands, which the user can type into the search and which will trigger actions in your module. So the routing is very nice. You have the possibility to do different things. You can just name the component which should be rendered. So anything in the administration will be a component, so composing with components, as you might say. And you can define a path, which can also include slugs with parameters and stuff, which you can use in your administration, like passing an ID over the URL. You can also use redirects or child routes to create your own custom in-module routing. So there you have the complete freedom to create your own actions and routing directly in the deepest part of your module, which is really a nice thing. And you can use it from the template to route the user via links. And you can also have access to the router programmatically in the logic of your component. So now you have modules and you have components. How does the data handling work? So as Jens already mentioned, that we're having that nice and shiny API using the JSON API standard. And as I already mentioned, we have that API services, which come along with the core of the administration. And the nice thing about is for every entity existing in Shopware, we will have an API service for you, so you don't have to write it by yourself. So when you have to access any entity of Shopware, you can use that existing API service. But how you use the data from the API service, there are different ways you can achieve this, because we wanted for you the most freedom how to use it. So the first thing is we have the dependency injection. You can use every API service directly in your component. There's a very nice system by Vue.js which uses the dependency injection, and you can access them directly in your component and doing any requests you want. To make it a little bit easier for you, again, we have that state management, which can hold the data internally and make it available to multiple modules, multiple views, and also contains business logic for you, which you don't have to write by yourself. We wanted to make the life for you very easy. For example, we are sending back to the API only change sets. So the entity state modules will always save a draft and the original code of each entity and can generate change sets if the user makes any changes to that data. So when he saves the entity and the data gets sent back to the API, there will be no conflicts with other users who are already also editing the same data, which is very nice, and the state modules will just do that for you. You don't have to do it by yourself. And you can just commit data to the state directly from your component with the official Vuex functionality, and dispatch actions of the business logic of the state modules. That's also just the normal Vuex documentation which you can use here. But for us, that was also not enough. We then created also mix-ins which you can use directly in your component, which will bring all the business logic for each entity, and it will pass the data right away as data binding in your template, and you could just dive into your template and directly using the data you want to and have all the business logic already available. So this will come with every entity already available in Shopware. So no more stores, no more models to edit. And these are also fully dynamic. So if you add any entity or extend any entity of Shopware, your new fields will also be directly available in that module. So no extending modules, no extending stores, directly using each data you extended at the core entities. That's a time for applause. Thank you. So, as I already told you, we have some nice tooling, so we wanted to make debugging and stuff also more easier for you. For example, you have the possibility right away to just launch a development server where the administration will spawn in a development mode, and then you have that nice hot reloading. Just so when you edit a file, the browser will, without reloading, add the new changes and leave also the state that you have currently in your browser tab. So you can just edit code and see instantly the changes. So no more navigating into any module or stuff. You can just change something and see directly your changes affecting the current module in the browser. That's a really nice thing. Then we have also live linting, keeping your code quality up. It can give you a nice overlay if you have any bad stuff in your code, and give you a nice advices to change that. And if you might know, the Vue.js framework brings a very nice Vue developer console for the Google Chrome console, which has very, very nice features to debug the whole application. You can see the real component structure, so you can have a corresponding DOM just for the components, which takes a reference to the original DOM. You can see all data which is available in that components and the current state of the component, and you can also change it programmatically over the console. You have a tab for View X, so you can see the central state management and can also do changes, and you can see all the data that is available right now in the application which is used. You can see all events and all commits that are which are made to the data. And that's a very, very nice tool for debugging, and that helps really, really, really a lot during the development. So how can you get involved? The first thing, we already did a developer event, the MeetNext 2017. So a big thanks to everyone who joined us there. We got a lot of very, very good feedback from you. That was really, really nice. And we liked it so much that we want to make it more often. So there will be more developer events coming up. So yeah, have an eye on our channels. And when we're releasing new dates for new developer events. And yeah, as Jens already mentioned, the stuff is online at GitHub. Just check it out, and there are more information on how to develop locally with the new technologies. And yeah, I would welcome your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Philipp. That was quicker than I expected.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I said you are a man of many words, so okay. But anyway, of course, we are expecting you to ask questions. For those who didn't attend the last talk, it's the same thing. You will raise your hand, I will come to you with a microphone, hold it in front of your face, and you talk. Okay? But first, I have a question to start things off. Why Vue.js? I like Angular better.
Yeah, we did really a lot of evaluation till we decided which framework to use. So we also looked at Angular because it has also many fans in the community. We also looked at React.js and also on many other many other frameworks. And there were many different reasons why we decided to use Vue.js. Some that are against the other frameworks. For example, Angular is switching their major versions very fast and quickly, introducing many major breaks, and we don't want you developers to always keep your code compatible to always the newest Angular version. So we wanted a little bit more future-proof. And there were also different reasons against React.js. For example, the JSX stuff, where you have that template code in your JavaScript files. I don't like that. So with Vue.js, we had all the stuff we wanted. We wanted a good component system. We wanted fast rendering. We wanted reactive data binding. And we wanted easy-to-use HTML templates. And that has it all. And so that was one of the main reasons why we decided to use Vue.js.
Okay, nice. Before you ask questions, who does not like Vue.js? Look,
nice.
They like it. They like it. Awesome. Okay, something else. Who has a question? One hand. Wow.
Does Shopware sponsor Vue.js?
Good question.
Actually, we're really thinking about it. There are many big companies joining Vue.js. For example, Alibaba is using it by itself and is also a big supporter of Vue.js. And the framework getting a lot of attention right now in the community, and a lot of people are liking what they see there. And when I look at Twitter, there are so many tutorials and stuff about Vue.js, and that's what I really like. And so that shows that the community is really pushing that framework up. And of course, we will also jump onto that train. And I think, it could be possible that we also support the framework by ourselves.
Okay. Oh yeah, there's an arm. Hello, arm.
Will you also support multiple login sessions per single user with the new administration?
Do you mean that you can use the administration on multiple browser tabs with the same login, or?
No, like currently if I log in on, let's say, my laptop, and I also log in on my PC, I kick myself out on the laptop because current sessions, they're not multiple sessions per user.
Yeah, I think that should be possible, yes.
Okay, is it? We don't decide this yet, or?
It's not really a decision I make. We also have to talk a little bit to Olli and the other guys because it's not only our part. But yeah, I think it's a good idea, and if it's not like so, we will do it so.
Okay. Sorry, may I want to step on you?
So will there be TypeScript bindings?
Yeah, we decided specifically against TypeScript because we think it brings an additional complexity layer, and not all people like TypeScript and get used to it. So we already wrote a definition file for the exposed object, so you will have complete auto-completion for the exposed object in your development API, in your IDE, and so you have full full auto-completion for it, but that's all you get.
Okay. Oh, there's a question. Wait, I'll just give it to you.
Will the new admin be responsive? So will it work well on smaller screens?
Yeah, sure. We're in 2018, so yeah, it will be responsive in some kind. Yes, sure.
Some kind. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Everyone hungry? No questions. Okay, but first, before we close this session, let me tell you what's up next, because up next is a talk that maybe needs 2 words. It's looking for code in all the wrong places. It starts at 2 o'clock. 3 words actually. The 3 words explaining this talk is you should attend. Okay? Great. Then we see each other at 2 o'clock, and now grab some food. You can meet Phil around if you have other questions and are just a shy guy. Mainly at the food, right? Okay, near food you find Phil. Thank you all. Thank you, Phil.